Sansa Stark and that dude from Gran Turismo find themselves in the middle of a heist gone sideways in Prime Video's Steel. It's a 6-episode limited series. So is this a huge score, or will it steal your time and not give anything back? A typical workday at a pension fund investment company is upended when a gang of violent thieves bursts in and forces Zara and her best mate Luke to execute their demands. But who would steal billions of pounds of ordinary people's pensions, and why? Right out of the gate, this is a tense thriller. There's anxiety built up right from the get-go as we watch a bunch of people who look like they've had botched plastic surgery gearing up for what looks like a bank heist from Heat. They're well-dressed and very calm, but the series immediately has this tone that makes everything seem unsettled. To help the immediate on-ramp of tension, the series utilizes long segments, especially in the earlier episodes, that feature zero dialogue, but a lot of worried or maybe terrified looks from the main characters, which is then enhanced by a musical score that's pounding and urgent. While big stretches of music and action without dialogue, they're not something entirely novel for international or non-US productions. It can be a bit odd for some to go many minutes without hearing a character speak. It just means that you can't be doom-scrolling while you watch. This stars Sophie Turner, Archie Madekwe, and Jacob Fortune-Lloyd as Zara, Luke, and DCI Reese-Kovac, respectively. They're the three we mainly follow, watching how their lives become a series of risky decisions, moody and melancholy forlorn looks, and then semi-disastrous outcomes. There are some parts that I thought we would need to call in a therapist because of how uncontrollably certain characters kept breaking down. And maybe I'm a bit jaded or just uncompassionate, but there's only so much I want to watch of a character wallowing in their grief or fear. At a point, they just become noise, removing sympathy and then adding annoyance. The characters get base-level development and background. Not that it's hugely necessary for this, but I felt no connection to most of the cast, and it was very apparent with a few of them. An intern named Myrtle has recurring blips within the story. There is no need for her character outside of one important interaction in the very first episode. Beyond that, her story goes nowhere and it doesn't add anything useful to the narrative. There's an MI5 agent assigned to the police investigation. He's a total stranger who appears to be either sketchy or dangerous, but either way, he's just an impotent addition. He disappears and then reappears in random areas of the story, which outside of being a very strange storytelling choice, it also built him as a forgettable character. The main investigator's partner, played by Ellie James, she's also useless. I mean, she's barely there within the story, other than to brood or look suspiciously at her partner. Now, with her interactions with Fortune-Lloyd, it feels as though there is way more to their history than the show lets us in on. While we don't necessarily need all the tea on them, the vague tension, maybe it's hostility, it just feels contrived and then a weird insertion into the arcs because it's just kind of present without any reasoning. I mean, did DCI Reese steal her donut or did he abscond with her cat? Both of those options are ridiculous, but because everything between them is undefined, it really could be anything serious or stupid. The only one of the characters that I even felt I knew a little something about that was actually meaningful was Andrew Koji's financial investigator. Now, he's mousy. Don't question his CV, though. Oof. He's a very quiet, even meek character, and despite him also popping in and out of the story at random, I did like his dynamic with Fortune-Lloyd and then a couple of the suspects. Now, a lot of this is obvious, or at least predictable, but not all of it. I didn't guess the big reveal until it was given, which was nice, at least sort of. I mean, the episodes are all 40-ish minutes, maybe. They feel way longer, so maybe they're each even closer to an hour. Even with the pressing urgency of converging groups threatening to collide as they search for the stolen money, and then the energy of the music, the pacing still managed to play out like sludge out of a faucet. It was uneven, bit chunky, working against the momentum that it was desperately trying to maintain. So by the end of this, I just didn't care. It was a little fun while watching, and it mostly held my attention, but the story was twisting itself up all in order to appear clever and complex. In reality, it wasn't an ingenious tale. It wasn't that interesting, and it also was made up of characters I wasn't incredibly invested in. The plot kept trying to pull our attention in one direction and then another, like, looky over here, now here, okay, over here now, all in the effort to just feel as though much more was going on than actually was. The use of nonverbal sequences can be an effective technique, allowing the actors to drive the emotion with their expressions. But because all of the characters were either unlikable or unengaging, the technique didn't have the lasting effect the show was hoping for. Unfortunately for the story, all the buildup leads to an uneventful climax and then a forgettable ending. The concept for this is intriguing. It's just a shame the execution couldn't have been that way too. There's no sex or nudity, ton of profanity, and a bunch of violence. I give Steel 2 out of 5 couches. Okay, without saying heat, what's a great heist movie or maybe a show that you've seen? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.